Hello everyone and welcome back to Make Your Mind. This is the latest of my SCP-based sculpture showcases. You can probably hear that sound in the background. Oh yes, we're getting our flame on today. The SCP that we're going to be talking about is an SCP that is nothing but flame. And is one of the scariest creatures, although it is actually classified as a Euclid. So that's interesting, because the creature is dangerous, but it is also quite passive. It does not necessarily pursue anyone, it's just all-consuming. But that creature is this. It is born of flame, and it is the embodiment of flame. A human being consumed by flame itself. And that is SCP-457, the Burning Man. SCP-457 appears to be a sentient being composed of pure flame. SCP-457's actual composition is unknown, and has proven to be invisible and undetectable by any known means, but is shaped out of flames it produces, often assuming a form like a human if given sufficient fuel to assume that size, and that's the main thing. The ever-consuming flame is always looking for something to consume, to keep the flame alive. And that flame could literally be anything combustible. And I really do mean anything. And that also includes the people in the containment facility itself. Truly terrifying this thing is. SCP-457's most rudimentary form appears to be that of a single flame, comparable in size to that of a matchstick. In this form, SCP-457 possesses only the simplest of directives and shows no sign of being unusual compared to any other flame beyond a penchant of suddenly flickering to burning human hands, and the ability to jump to more flammable materials or other flames, which it then assimilates into a total form. So if there is flames within a presence of 457, it will assimilate those flames or that material and begin to burn even hotter and begin to increase in size. As SCP-457 grows larger, it is able to assume more complex shapes. So this thing it's not just a human, that's just one of the many shapes that 457 can be. As its intelligence grows with size and fuel sources, SCP-457's method of intelligence is unknown, but upon reaching an approximate human size, SCP-457 almost always assumes a human-like form surrounded by and composed of pure flame. SCP-457 has been observed to communicate through writing letters out of its own flames, charring them onto a wall or other surfaces, so it literally burns the wall. And it's able to write on surfaces in order to send messages. So this thing, it does have some sentience. I mean, they do refer to it as the sentient flame. Let's see here. Superheated air and the crackling and pops of flames. Once SCP-457 reaches an unknown threshold of size and fuel source, SCP-457 splits into two beings, so on and so forth. So this will actually multiply. If there's more fuel sources, it will gain in size and will actually split off, and there will be multiple of these. So this is... I'm surprised that this wouldn't be considered a keter. I guess mainly because with containment, it's actually easier to contain the flame than it is to contain some other beings. Like, for example, SCP-106. That's the old man. That's one SCP that is very much a keter. And by the way, that sculpture is coming too. SCP-106 is coming as well, the old man. So stay tuned for that. However, multiple beings of SCP-457 are aggressive towards each other and will either attempt to consume or extinguish their doubles, especially if there's only a limited amount of fuel at hand. So these things are actually cannibalistic. They will consume each other as flames always consume. Let's see, the danger of SCP-457 comes with its ability to increase intelligence with size, and apparent ability to learn and mimic behaviors. This has led to purposely damaging and sabotaging sprinkler systems, and in rare circumstances, set up relatively complex traps. It has also attempted to trick and reason with personnel to be released, so it actually can speak in a way. Let's see. It has also attempted to trick or reason with personnel to be released or to have access to more fuel. So it actually tries to bargain with the Foundation in order to actually keep itself alive. That's very interesting. Due to SCP-457's unique composition, variable intelligence, and uncooperative nature, its psychology may not be accurately determined in accordance with any human analogy. I mean, there's nothing really to compare it to. And it actually, this thing has the ability to read, it has the ability to write, and it can speak. But this is one of the more interesting ones, because this is an SCP that's fairly well known. But it's also one that a lot of people, if they haven't played some of the games, I know some of the Containment Breach games actually have 457 as sort of a maze where you actually, where this is walking through a maze and you basically have to escape the maze. It's quite an incredible thing, I must say. I believe this has its own standalone game, but I would have to look that up. If I find that game, I'll leave it in a comment down, or I'll leave it in the description below. But here is SCP-457. The Burning Man, the all-consuming flame. It's basically like it's almost like if Ghost Rider was an SCP almost, with all the flames. But honestly, 457 is even cooler than Ghost Rider because it's ever-consuming, and it is created of nothing but flame, with the vague representation of a man in the middle. But this is just one of the more interesting SCPs. So, that concludes the video. If you like these kind of videos and you like these SCPs, don't forget to leave a like down below, and remember to subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, so you don't miss the next video. I got plenty more of these SCPs coming. So stay tuned, and make sure to subscribe, so that way you don't miss them. It seems like SCP is actually starting to make a little bit of a comeback, which I'm so happy to see. I've loved SCP. I've been following SCP since about 2013, 2014. Like I said, back when I saw Markiplier when he first played SCP-087-B, that's when I first followed SCP. Then not soon after that, Containment Breach came out, and then that sort of set the ball rolling, and I just love this series. It's so fascinating, these creatures. But with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you on the next SCP-based Sculpture Showcase.